you talked about all the time, but did he ever report to you what his efforts to find Zenaida Gonzalez or Zanny were?
There were several, yes, on several occasions.
And when were those, and did he give them to you in writing?
I don't have anything in writing.
What did he tell you?
He told me several things. We have a Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez Rivera in Puerto Rico that he had been watching, still watching.
I see. All right. So, of all of that, during that time, during this time period, that when you're talking about Zenaida Gonzalez, do you know? Did he ever report to you what the leads were, and he was following up, or anything like that?
Yes or no?
Yes.
He did report. What did he report to you?
I'm object just to work product. It's privilege.
Okay. I just want to clarify, just so we're clear. We have a contract now between a private entity, private individual, and kid finders. And these
Kid
folks,
Finders is, hold on, they were just witnesses to the contract. They're just witnesses. You asked me who else signed the contract.
Okay.
They're
and
witnesses.
thanks for clarifying. That makes it easier.
Yes.
This is directly between...
I answered his question, but he got it wrong.
Miss Anthony.
Okay.
I just want to make sure for your objection, these private citizens have retained a private attorney to work for them. And you're taking... I'm sorry, private investigator to work for them. And you're taking the position that there is a privilege that applies that makes it not discoverable in a civil lawsuit about the substance of any conversations or anything else.
The conversations between them, correct.
And what is the basis for that?
Product. Work product.
And what, okay, you understand, I'm not trying to hold on. I'm not trying to argue here, but I just want to be clear. Work product means that there's something in pending litigation. It's made in anticipation of existing or pending litigation. Is there existing or pending litigation against these individuals, the Anthonys, that I'm not aware of?
There may be.
Okay, well, I want to know, is there
may be. You guys are on a fishing expedition, and a lot of your questions go to what she said and whether she republished a defamation. So, yes, sir, there is. And not only that, this is an ongoing investigation, and it affects the criminal trial as well as the civil trial.
I understand. Just so I'm clear, you're claiming work product on these conversations between the Anthonys.
On behalf of my client, yes, sir, I am.
And we'll deal with that later.
And to clarify one more thing, Sherry Milstead is a witness, not a party to the contract.
Just so I understand that. When you said they signed the contract, they signed it as witnesses. It was just between George and Cindy and Mr. Casey.
They are not parties to the contract.
When's your understanding of, just let me clarify that, our lawsuit was filed sometime later. Was the contract and these conversations about Zenaida Gonzalez, was that prior to our lawsuit being filed? Do you know?
We had a verbal contract.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, that was prior to the lawsuit. And how about the written contract? That was before the lawsuit. The conversations before the lawsuit was filed.
We had 2 written contracts, and I can't tell you the first contract.
The conversations, though. When were those? Those were before the lawsuit was filed?
Yes.
You're still asserting the privilege?
When was the lawsuit filed? I don't know the answer to that.
All right, well, let's look back to that.
If we can just do time frames, it's going to make it a lot easier.
Okay. Let me look back to it. Okay. Now, hold on a second. There's one thing that, and I'm not going to go through the 911 call with you, but I have it here, but I want to ask specifically. There were 3 calls to the police on the 15th. Is that right?
Correct.
You had found your daughter, Casey, at Tony Lazzaro's apartment?
Correct.
You had talked to Amy Hazinga, and she had given you the location.
Amy took me to the location.
Okay, she took you to the location. You went in, and there was Casey. Is that right?
I didn't go into the apartment.
Okay. Did Casey come out at some point?
Yes.
And did you ask her where Kaylee was?
Yes.
Right. And what did she tell you?
With Zanny.
Right. And did you say, where's Zanny?
Yes.
And what did she tell you?
She said she was at her apartment, and I said, okay, we're going to go get her.
All right. And so, did you go to the apartment to go get her?
No.
Where'd you go?
I took her to the police station.
Okay. So you took her to... If you took her to the police station, why was it that you took her to the police station?
Because she didn't take me to the apartment, and I didn't know where she lived.
And that gave you a concern. Were you driving the car, or was she?
I was.
And she wouldn't tell you where the apartment was?
Correct.
And that caused you concern?
Correct.
And because of that, you took her to the police station?
Correct.
And you told the police officer, and you called, I guess, at Pershing first, that you
I
had
was
somebody...
sitting at Pershing,
right.
And they were closed.
And you called in, and you said, I have someone that needs to be arrested.
Correct.
And...
Because I wanted to scare her into having me take her.
And then you made another call, the second 911 call, which
was from the house.
From the house. And you said that at that point that your daughter had been missing, you just found her, you need to get a grand theft. What was the grand theft?
The car is still registered in my name, even though essentially the car was hers. Just like when we bought the car, for Lee back in 2000 or whatever when we bought the car.
So you thought it was a grand theft because she had taken your car?
I wanted them to come out and help me, so I said whatever I said to have them come out to help me talk to Casey. I was hoping I could go in and talk to a police officer without calling 911. So that you wanted my reasoning, I'm telling you. It's not a yes or no question.
Okay, that's fair.
It was served September 26, 08.
September 26, 08.
Okay.
Okay. Let me finish this and look back to that. Okay. There's a third call, though. Okay, and this is about after the officers are already on their way. And you say in the call, and I'm sure you remembered, I could play it, but we don't have to.
You don't have to tell me what's in the call.
Okay, we're not going to do that, but I am going to ask you. You said my daughter finally admitted to me that somebody took her, or Zanny took her.
Correct.
Okay. Tell me the circumstance between that first call and the second call, because there's a time period in between. What happened? What did she tell you? Where were you? How did the conversation, because I'm sure you remember that. Tell me what happened.
I can't get into that conversation.
Why not?
I can't.
And the reason why is what?
Number one is I can't remember exactly the conversation verbatim, what it was. Essentially, I asked her, my son was there when we got home. He asked her, she told me she'd take me there the next day, and that wasn't good enough for me.
Right.
So finally, I left Lee alone, and he talked to Casey. And when I was coming back in, because the sheriff's office on the second phone call made it sound like they could be there any time.
And it took a
while. It could be 2 hours. It was a non-emergency phone call per them. That's why every phone call got more urgent.
So there's three. So
when I walked back in,
I want to ask about that. In between the time of the first call, when you think they're coming over shortly, and the second call, are you saying that Lee talked to her?
Yes.
And she talked. Were you present in that room for that conversation?
Not during the whole conversation, because I kept walking outside. I kept hearing a door. I had the garage door open. I kept hearing a car door. And every time I go out there, I think it was the sheriff's office.
Right. So Lee came in, and he told you what?
Lee didn't tell me anything.
Did Casey tell you something?
No, I walked in and overheard Casey telling Lee.
What did she say?
I can't remember exactly the words, but I heard her saying that it had been 31 days or something that she had seen Kaylee.
And that caused you, again, to call back at that point?
Yes,
right.
that was the reason for the third phone call.
Right, but when you say she finally admitted, does that mean after all this time she's admitting now, in your mind?
That Kaylee was missing.
Okay, that Zanny had taken her. Okay.
That Zanny had taken her.
Now, as you sit here today and everything you've learned and everything you've seen, do you believe that to be true?
I have no idea who took Kaylee.
But there's one thing we are sure of, and that is that this person, Zenaida Gonzalez, despite what your daughter had said, you don't believe at all that this person had anything to do with it.
Casey never said that this person right here.
I'm asking you, then, at this point.
I never said that person had anything to do with Kaylee.
So you don't believe this person has anything?
I never did, no. The first time I saw her, even when her face was blotted out, I called Channel 6 News and spoke to Henry Maldonado. And I asked, what the hell are you doing putting this poor woman on the stand because she's been through enough? You know, the police department's the one that fingered her, not Casey. And they said that she came willingly down there to talk to her. You know, it would have just all blown away for her if she wouldn't have gone and had her little Channel 6 and then Mr. Morgan parading her all around. So
I appreciate you want to say all that, ma'am.
Well, I'm telling you the truth.
But I'm not asking you those questions. I'm really not. So
I
let's
know
just
you're
make
not.
it.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm giving you the answers.
Okay.
You asked me if I thought it was her to the point.
I didn't say that.
Okay, wait a minute. You asked me if I thought it was her and if Casey thought it was her.
No, I didn't. But let me just clarify, ma'am.
Yes, you did.
Ma'am.
Yes, you
did,
know
what?
sir.
We're almost, the good news
you
is
asked me if I thought it was her and if Casey thought it was her, and I said no, to the point that I called the news station and said, what are you doing putting her on?
I got it.
So I'm asking you the question, or answering your question.
Well, good. Let me ask another question then, because you're answering a question I'm not asking you.
But you did ask the question.
I don't want to argue. I really don't want to argue.
No, read back the transcript. Watch it later. That's why you got it on video.
Brad, can you get control?
Yes, I mean,
Brad, please.
one
Get
last.
control of him, Mr. Morgan.
This is my question, and I'm going to try to make it simple. In your mind, as you sit here, and we're talking, as you said before, you want to clear her name. In your mind, this Zenaida Gonzalez has absolutely nothing to do with what happened to your granddaughter.
Correct.
Okay.